Hi, this is Laura from LiveVisions.com, and I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to put out a little video about Virgo rising people, or if you're a Virgo. This may affect you also if you're a Virgo sun as well, or maybe Virgo moon, but mostly Virgo rising, okay? This is because the opposite sign of Virgo is Pisces. Wherever you have Pisces is where you serve or suffer, okay? So that means that, Virgo rising people, their seventh house of relationships is Pisces. And what that means is you can draw in people who need help. And it's kind of like the savior-victim kind of relationship where you want to save them, you want to fix them, you want to help them, okay? Or this could go, I was always taught in astrology by, my teacher was Guy Sparrow, okay? But I was always taught that there's octaves in astrology. There's the high octave and the low octave, every sign, planet, and house, okay? So the higher octave of Pisces is spirituality and creativity, right? You know, like creative geniuses, spiritual gurus, things like this, right? That is what Virgo should be looking for in a partner technically, okay? Or Pisces can also be a compassionate person, right? Somebody who's compassionate to others, shows compassion to others in any kind of situation, right? So that's kind of what you should be looking for. But the low octave of Pisces, okay, is somebody who is, you know, it's all about illusion, delusion, right? Falling in love with the fantasy instead of the reality of what is. And what can the reality be? Falling in love with a Mr. Fix-It, you know, I'm living at my mom's house because she does my laundry and it's easier for me, and she cooks and cleans for me and I don't have to do anything. So mom's enabling him not to do shit, okay? Or I live at my mom's house because I'm going through a divorce and I'm getting my other house renovated and rebuilt, and until I do, then the kids and I are at mom's house. There's a big difference, okay? You're always going to fall in love with somebody who may be needing something or going through a rough time or needing, but it's your choice of discernment. You're learning discernment, who to give your energy to and who to pull back from, okay? I know a lot of Virgos right now, their give-a-damn's kind of busted and the trust is like shot to hell, right? A lot of you have learned through the Saturn transit, okay? Saturn's hitting your fifth house of relationships, those who are Virgo rising, okay? So, meaning learning lessons on relationships. Because let me tell you, when you have a child with someone, there's nothing worse than having another child to have to deal with, or somebody who's irresponsible or don't take responsibility or accountability for anything. And, you know, when you're already tired with one kid, you don't need another. And I'm not saying that, I'm not calling the partner the man-child. Some of you may have the man-child, right? Pisces is also drugs, alcohol. Pisces rules water, right? So it can rule substances, right? So some partners could have substance abuse issues, okay? So I wanted to touch base on that. So you need to be careful. Also, Pisces is illusion and delusion, deception, not being told the truth, or looking through things through rose-colored glasses, through how you want to see them rather than through how they really are, right? So beware of this, Virgo rising people especially, because you really want to make sure that you're seeing people for who they, who they really are, right? Now, I'm going to touch base on a little bit about Libras, because I've gotten a lot of emails and a lot of comments about, I must like mean girls or women who are freaking abusive. Even men write this, And nobody should accept any kind of abuse at all whatsoever in relationships, right? So if you're a Libra rising, male or female, sun, moon, or rising, but especially rising, right? You have Aries ruling your seventh house cusp. You're wanting a partner who's a go-getter, who's ambitious, and you like that part of them that is just like, they're not going to take any crap from anybody, and they are the type of person who doesn't mince their words. They say what they mean what they say. They're ambitious and goal-oriented, and they're the type to fight for what they want. There are, Aries energy is like, I always say, you really don't really want to start shit with an Aries, but especially depending on what they have in their chart, especially if they have Mars in Aries or Mars conjunct Venus with Aries, that could be an abusive person. But not always, all right? Not always. But it just depends on the chart. But 7th house Aries, let's just talk about the sign itself, okay? And I'm going to make just generalizations here. What Libras, if you're Libra rising, what you should be looking for is somebody who's ambitious, who's goal-oriented, who goes for what they want, right? Who's not shy, whose strength. You admire somebody for their strength, right? And you admire somebody for their courage, right? So that's kind of what you're looking for, right? But let's face it, some people can overuse their strength and to the point where they're strong-arming somebody, which isn't good. Somebody can overuse their power and strength in the wrong way, like manipulation, do what I say or else, right? Or there are some people who overuse their strength and power in a physical sense. They're abusive, physically, like hurting somebody, okay? That is not cool, right? So Libra rising especially needs to use their sense of discernment when dealing with this kind of thing, right? So let's talk about Scorpio, okay? Now, if you have a Venus in Scorpio or Venus in the 8th house, Venus is love, okay? And or money. All right, if you have Venus in the 8th house, when love is good, it's good. When it sucks, it sucks. Or if you have it in the 8th house, right? There could be major transformations in relationships in your life and life learning lessons that you're going to be going through during your love life. And you're not cursed. Virgo risings, you're not cursed. Libra ascendants, you're not cursed either, okay? Virgo rising especially, you have to learn discernment. Who to choose to give your energy to, because Virgo always wants to be of service to somebody. I want to be of service. Let me help you. Let me fix, let me fix. I can do that for you. That's the big thing. I can do that for you. No. Pull back. See what they're going to do for themselves, right? You could help someone. You're going to always need to be of service, okay? Wherever you have Pisces, you're going to serve or suffer. So Virgos, it's in your 7th house, Virgo rising. So your thing is discernment, who to give to and who not to. Libras, you don't always have to be in an abusive or a, narcissistic or, mentally abusive or verbally abusive relationship. You do not, right? You could have somebody who has strength, who has, who fights for what they want, but in a good way. Like maybe they fight for causes. Maybe they're fighting for justice. Maybe they're fighting for the rights of others, and you admire this quality in them, right? But you don't have to be with someone. They can have that fight feeling and that strength in them without being verbally abusive or physically abusive, okay? Now, Scorpio, the same thing. You're going to be going, Scorpio is the sign of transformation, right? Death, rebirth, transformation, right? So you're going to be going through a lot of transformative times when it comes to your love life, right? Reinventing yourself. You're like, why don't relationships last? Or why are they so turbulent? When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. There's no gray. There's no in-between. That is so true with Scorpio, right? These relationships that you're going to be coming into contact with are going to want that mind, body, soul connection. They're going to be deep, very passionate, very, not very superficial, wanting an earthy kind of, I want to say, Scorpio is not superficial sign. Scorpio wants that mind, body, soul connection, but be careful of possessiveness, controlling behavior, okay? You want to be careful not to possess each other, want to control the partner. This is going to get you into trouble. This could cause an ending of a relationship that you maybe really, really feel so strongly for. The thing is the connection is so deep and so passionate that you may feel like, oh, well, they're wanting this freedom. Maybe they're going to cheat on me. Maybe this, maybe that. That's going to get you into trouble. Now, Scorpio, I also know you're F agent secretives. If there's something to be found out, you will find it out, okay? But here's the thing. Being insecure or possessive or controlling or attracting a partner. Now, Scorpio rising, the same thing. You could attract a partner who is a possessive and controlling partner, too much so to where you're like, I'm out. See you later, So we're touching base a little bit on that. And then I wanted to touch base a little bit on if you have a Leo rising. If you have a Leo rising, your 7th house is Aquarius. Or if you have Venus in Aquarius, right? So you're going to need to give your partner some sort of freedom, okay? And just so you know, Scorpio, if you have Venus in Scorpio, you also may have to reinvent yourself financially. There could be ups and downs where you have to reinvent yourself financially, you know, in a financial situation. And if you have 29 degrees Scorpio, Venus especially, be careful, because this is a very tested degree with money, assets, and obviously a relationship. But this could be a bankruptcy degree. It's a bankruptcy degree as well, okay? So just be aware of this. Now, if you have Leo on your ascendant, and if you have obviously your 7th house is Aquarius, or if you have Venus in Aquarius, right, relationships are going to be turbulent if you don't give them a certain amount of freedom. Aquarian energy likes to be different, unique, detached in some way, right? Wants to do their own thing. So if you meet a partner, whether it's you or them, who wants to do their own thing, and the other partner is like too possessive, too controlling, or like, no, that's not happening, or why are you doing this, or I don't want you doing that, or you know, somebody's just going to detach and do their own thing. You could get into things quickly, and they can end just as quickly. You have to be very cautious of this, right? The key here is being friends first. Aquarius rules friends, groups, and organizations, right? So you really want to be friends first before getting into a relationship. It's going to greatly help you. Get to know this person as a friend. Build that camaraderie with this person, knowing that you could always be friends no matter what, right? Also, I want to say, you know, a sense of freedom, giving each other space is going to be hugely important. This isn't going to be somebody who's going to be on your hip, right? This isn't going to be, you know, oh, we're Siamese twins, right? This is going to be where you could be in an innovative relationship too, or an unconventional type of relationship with Aquarius ruling your 7th house. Maybe we live together but we don't get married, right? Maybe he's a pilot, or he or she travels a lot, so I only see them a certain amount of time a week, or we only see each other a certain amount, you know, because of their career. You know, that could be it too, okay? But with Venus in here, in Aquarius, there's ups and downs in a relationship. There could be makeup, breakup, makeup, breakup. You got to be cautious of this. And you have to think, why are you making up and breaking up so much, right? Is there an issue of commitment, right? Does one want a commitment and the other doesn't? Does one need more sense of freedom and the other does not? You know what I'm saying? Is one more possessive than the other? You know, these are things you're going to have to look at. And in a relationship, you're going to have to be upfront. I do need some sense of freedom, or my job requires me to be away a lot. Can you handle this? If you cannot, I need to know in advance, right? Because I'm not going to invest my time, my energy into something where in the end you're going to walk away because you can't handle the fact that I'm away a lot. You know what I'm saying? So this is very, very important in relationships to understand that, right? So I just wanted to touch base on some problem areas and maybe some ways to avoid them, okay? And with Scorpion energy, you know, now either you're going to be the Phoenix rising from the ashes and reinvent yourself, right? Or you're going to be the Scorpion. I'm not going to get mad, I'm going to get even, which is never good for anybody. But I want to say you're going to reinvent yourself. Does this mean that your relationship has to end? No. You could have the most deep, intense, and passionate relationship with somebody that could last a long time. Okay, the key here is don't be too possessive, too controlling, and or manipulative. Okay, that's going to help you greatly in a relationship, especially even if you're a Scorpio rising. Taurus can be very wanting, can be controlling too. Now, if you're a Taurus rising and your 7th house is Scorpio, the same applies. You don't want somebody who's going to be too possessive, too controlling, or manipulative, right? The same rule applies if you're a Taurus rising. So I just wanted to give you that information, right? Now, you could have that mind, body, soul connection with somebody, Taurus rising, but make sure you tell your partner, look, I love this deep connection we're having. I love that mind, body, soul connection that we're having. I love the intensity of this, right? However, you know, if you start being too possessive or insecure or telling me what to do, it's not going to work well. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for you Taurus risings. You could display this energy too. Don't forget, 7th house isn't always the partner, but it's also how we interact with that partner as well. So you want to look at that, all right? We're going to look at your Mars, too. Mars is your energy. Venus is what you, depending, okay, if you're a man, Mars, whether you're a man or a woman, Mars is your energy. Now, Venus in a man is what you're attracted to. Mars is what you're attracted to if you're a woman, right? Now, Venus for a woman is how you flirt, and Mars for a man is how they go about flirting. So look at that as well. Please take a look at my videos on my website. Go to my YouTube section. This is going to help you greatly. If you don't know where your planets are, go to my homepage. I have a calculator there that tells you where your Venus, your Mars are, your 7th house, your ascendant. It should be the AC is for the ascendant, or ASC, right? You know, DC is your descendant. That's your 7th house, okay? DC is the 7th house, just so you know. So anyway, I hope this helps you out, because I know some of you were wanting to know, and I just wanted to give you some tips as far as relationships go and how to deal with some difficult aspects. A lot of Virgo rising people are like, my give a damn is busted. I don't want another relationship. I'm feeling so frustrated, and I feel you. I feel you. Like, Saturn has really fucking, excuse my French, with Pluto in the 5th house, tested us lately, and with the Uranus-Pluto square in the past few years, about what we will and will not accept in relationships. And some Virgo rising, including myself, had to learn some very hard lessons, right? You need better boundaries. That's what it is. We need better boundaries. Don't accept less than you deserve, and don't make excuses for somebody's poor behavior and give them chance after chance after chance, right? If it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, okay? You can't change a duck. Just like my dad says, you cannot spit shine a turd and think it's going to be a diamond. It's still a fucking turd. I'm sorry to say it. It's the truth, okay? So if somebody shows you they can't express emotion, they can't be involved, you know, like they're always giving you short answers, or they're always text answers, or they're always, like, they're inconsistent, they don't follow through with their promises. This is a major red flag, right? This could be somebody who also, sometimes people who have Moon in Aquarius can do this crap too, where they feel emotionally detached. You know, first red flag, they're out. Mars in Aquarius, I have my Mars in Aquarius, guilty as charged. If I see a red flag, and I really liked the guy who had Moon in Aquarius. I really, really did. Because I got him. But I feel like he ghosted. Well, I don't know. It could be one of two reasons, you know, why he ghosted, right? But, you know, the one reason, not so cool. Second reason, maybe, you know, I could see that, you know. But here's the thing. As we get older, we do better, right? As we learn from our lessons, we do better, or we should, right? With my Mars in Aquarius, do I ghost? No. Am I honest about how I feel? Yeah. I'm blunt. I'm like, look, this is a red flag for me. I don't think I can deal with this, and I have to move on, all right? So this way I'm not leaving somebody in wonderment, because I wouldn't want them to be in wonderment either. Have I left a Dear John letter? Yes, I have. Because I don't want to deal, and I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of times the reason people ghost, let me give you some reasons here, okay? It's because they don't want to deal with the drama of the long drawn-out conversation of something they already know is not going to work. Something they already know is going to be a huge red flag that you've already displayed. They already know this is going to work, and they don't want you to beg or deal with, oh, but no, I can change this, I can fix it, let's work on it. You know, the person with the Aquarian energy, whether it's their moon, their ascendant, or their sun sign, or Mars, you know, has already walked out the door. You know, Aquarian energy usually don't leave a Dear John letter. They're like, you know, but I have done so because I know in breaking up, sometimes the person is, no, but they'll try to talk you out of it. They'll try to, and I knew somebody who was so good at this shit. Really good con artist at trying to, oh, well, we can make it work, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that, right? Now, is the Dear John letter and ghosting a character flaw? Yes, it is, okay? Is, you know, somebody who is such a really good con artist trying to talk you out of their red flags and trying to make you stay in something that is not good, right? Is that a red flag too, when you realize the same thing fucking keeps happening over and over again, and nothing has changed, and you should have listened to your first instinct and, like, you know, hit the bricks? Yeah, that's a clue. You know what I'm saying? So I will say to you, you know, Aquarians have that fight or flight syndrome or whatever it is, Aquarius, Sun, Moon rising, or if you have Mars in Aquarius, you know what I'm saying? My Mars is in Aquarius conjunct Jupiter, so I'm like, yeah. Huh. And I've dealt with people who are so possessive, not kidding. We're like, I'm not going to let you leave me. And my Mars in Aquarius is like, well, I'm leaving. I ain't staying. You're not keeping me someplace I do not wish to be. Okay? So that's also why some people may go too, like, I'm not going to deal with the drama, or somebody who's physically going to try to restrain me from leaving. No. Nobody should ever do that to you, and that's another red flag. That's a red flag. This person could be abusive, they're controlling, manipulative. No way, shape, or form should you be in that. And I don't give a shit if you're married. You're there not because of that damn piece of paper like someone owns you like a dog. You're there because you want to be there. Nobody owns anybody, even if you're married. You don't own the person. If somebody wants to be their own person and walk out the door, then let them. Right? If they have to clear their head, they come back, great. If they don't come back, then what can you cannot make that person come back. The only person you have control over is yourself. Right? And if you already know something's not going to work out and you see a red flag, and I don't care if you Dear John letter or you talk to them on the phone, look, this is a red flag for me. Some people don't want to do it in person because they don't want to do the drama. And I know that's why Aquarians do this shit. Moon, rising, sun sign, whatever it is, Mars in Aquarius, they do, people who have Venus sometimes in Aquarius. But the reason they do this is they don't want to deal with the drama of, well, the person talking them into it, or the person crying on the phone, or they're dealing with the emotional, like, I already see it on the wall, it's not going to work. I see it. So, like, I don't want to go through the rigmarole of having to explain myself for an hour or 2 hours, you know. Does the person deserve an explanation? Yes. You know, they say you shouldn't do it over a note, you shouldn't do it over email, you should do it in person, right? I'm sorry, I disagree. Some people you can't deal with in person because they're too unstable, okay? Where they want to keep you, restrict you, you know, emotionally manipulate you into staying into something that you know is already fractured and broken and that will never, ever frickin' work, okay? So to send an email and say, look, after this email I'm blocking because I just wanted to clear the air. This is an issue. I can't deal with this issue. So even if you worked on this issue, you know, or this is something I just cannot, you know, I'm letting you know and I'm done. I'm done. That's all you have to say. So people, I'm going to tell you this. You know, sometimes they're saying, well, to be in a relationship, you have to work on it. Both people have to work on it. That's true. But if the other person feels that this isn't something that can be fixed, or it's fractured so bad that this is something they can't deal with, it's a deal breaker for them, you cannot change that person's mind. Okay, you cannot change a person. You can only fix you. So if that person is telling you, look, I already know you're not my soulmate. You're not my two of cups. You're not my two of cups, right? If they're telling you that, right, that just means the universe has somebody else for you, better for you, somebody who's going to get you, right? Because somebody who is going to run is probably not going to be your person. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody who's going to be like, going gets tough, stuff gets going, or the first red flag, they're out the door. You know that, and I'm going to be honest with you too, men who have Venus in Virgo can also want to do the savior-victim thing as well. But they could also have the unthinkable checklist with nobody's perfect enough and end up like George Clooney's age before they get married. And they're like, oh man, I'm not getting the young hot chicks like I used to. I'm getting older. You know what I'm saying? So nobody's perfect enough. You know, so you know, you get 80%, grab onto that shit and hold on to it, because you're going to end up an old, you know, I don't know, how do I say this? I just say it. You're going to end up an old fucker by yourself, you know, because nobody's perfect enough. And nobody is perfect, okay? But let me tell you, the right person for you is going to love the imperfection, whatever imperfection you have, because they're going to love you so much, right? So whatever imperfection that somebody else deems as, I can't deal with this, I got to walk, another person is going to be like, you know what, I could deal with it, and I love you, and it doesn't matter, and I'm sticking around. You know what I'm saying? We can work on it. So you want something healthy, right? You want something where someone's not going to hit the bricks, right? You want something where somebody's going to be like, I'm in it to win it. And you want something with somebody where, you know, if you do see a red flag, obviously possessiveness, controllingness, any kind of abuse, substance abuse, chemical abuse, you know, these certain signs that I've already talked about have certain cues that they need to look at. And I've given them to you. So those are things to avoid, right? So I'm giving you like, okay, Libra, you're looking for strength. You can find strength other than somebody who's abusive, right? Virgo, rising Virgos especially need somebody who's spiritual, who's creative, who's, you know, going to be of service to others. You may fall in love with someone who's of service in the service industry, like a policeman, a fireman, you know, somebody who likes to be of service, wants to help. You may love the compassionate type. You're like, oh, I love you so much, because Virgo wants to give too. Virgo wants to be of service too. So when you meet somebody who matches you, who wants to be of service too, it works out really well, okay? Scorpio, you need somebody who wants that mind-body-soul connection, who's not afraid of your intensity, right? Who can handle your intensity, right? But stay away from the possessive, controlling, manipulative nature, and you and the other person, otherwise it won't work. Aquarius, you need somebody who's going to honor your space, who's going to honor your uniqueness, your individuality, and is not going to be like, oh my God, you're so weird, you're so eccentric, oh, I can't handle you. You want somebody who's going to be like, you know what, I don't think that you're that weird or that eccentric. I think that you're actually genius in your thinking, or you're innovative, or I think that this is very different. I'm interested in it, or it doesn't scare me. I find it, I mean, you know, like for me, Aquarius is my 6th house of work, you know, and my Mars and Jupiter are there too, which makes me a teacher. And it also would make me also like people of service who are in the service-related industry as well. But I will say, some people may say, well, astrology is so weird, that's so eccentric, or tarot is just, that's of the devil or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm not invoking anybody. I, you know, call in angels and, you know, angels and God above and all that, and I cleanse my cards and all that stuff. So anyhow, that's beside the point. People are going to have their own opinions. Let them. That just means they're not the one for you, okay? But because I have Mars in Aquarius, people who have a lot of Aquarian energy, I'm going to tell you this, usually because they're very unique, they're very eccentric, they look outside the box, and everyone, they don't really judge others for their uniqueness and their individuality, because they're unique and individual in some way, shape, or form, whether it's their Venus, their Sun, their Moon, their Mars, or their rising, ascendant sign, Aquarius. They're going to be unique in some way. And Aquarians are the types who can get along with everybody or see another person's point of view, outside the box, because they do think outside the box, especially Mercury and Aquarius. But I will say to you that you may like someone for their uniqueness, for their differences, and may find their idea, you know, or into that individuality, maybe, especially if you have Venus in Aquarius, very alluring. Wow. You know, I forgot to mention that. Venus in Aquarius, you got to give the person their space, yes. You have to let this person be their own individual self, yes. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If you try to pigeonhole them and controlling them into being who you want them to be, it's never going to work. Aquarius is going to be like, I am who I am. I'm my own individual self, and you know, pound sand. You know what I'm saying? Kick rocks. They're also going to say, you know, like, you may also, if you have Venus in Aquarius, right, be in love, if you're a man, with someone who's very eccentric, very different than you. You know, I mean, you may be the type to be like, wow, that person's so different, they're eccentric, and they're, you know, I really, really like that. Or if you have Venus conjunct Uranus. Venus conjunct Uranus also could be in love with someone who's very eccentric, very different, very unique, right? But let's talk about Venus conjunct Pluto. It's the same thing. Venus conjunct Pluto, you could be in love with someone who wants that mind, body, soul connection, deep and passionate, attraction, right? You got to be careful though of possessive, controlling, and manipulation. Same thing with Venus and Uranus. The love you want could need space. You know, you may need to give that person space, and it could be a unique type of relationship, unconventional. Maybe you don't get married, you just live together, right? Maybe you like this person for their individuality, their uniqueness, their eccentricity, or they're thinking outside the box, all right? So I just wanted to give you some examples and to help you in relationships, all right? So anyway, I love you guys. I hope this was helpful. Please like, share, and comment. And I will talk to you soon. I know I haven't been on as much lately. I have a lot going on. But if you want a reading from me, links are below, okay? I will talk to you soon and have a great one. Bye-bye.